Hi, everyone. Welcome to our One World Zohar study, where we connect to the energy of the Zohar. The energy of the Zohar is at a very high level. It's the level of Binah. It's the realm of fulfillment. And through these letters and through these concepts, we are revealing tremendous light into the world. And by light, I mean light of healing, light of fulfillment, light of soulmates, light of connections with the right people, light of always being in the right place at the right time, light of insight, light assisting us in making the decisions that we have to make. So we have the ability to do all that. This week's portion is the first portion of the second book. It's called Shemot. It means names. And we're going to be in our edition of the Zohar, we are in volume 8 and at paragraph 75. The name of the article is, "And there arose a new king." Now there arose a new king. Okay, so before we do that, since we're connecting to the realm of fulfillment, let's begin by, first of all, inviting in the assistance. Like, what do we know? We're going to invite in the assistance of a lineage of Kabbalists, the Rav and Karen Michael, Rabbi Schlag, Rabbi Brandweid, the Ria Kodesh, the Ramchal, Rabbi Tarfon, Rabbi Mazulai, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Levetepsk, Rav Kolon Shapira Piasetzan, the Baal Shem Tov, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and all the students, Rabbi Mordechai of Chernobyl. Let's start with Joseph the Righteous. That's Yosef Tzaddik in Shechem, modern day Nablus. For those of you who track this, so apparently you can now get into Nablus during the day to visit Joseph the Righteous. It was restricted prior to this for a long time to just nighttime visits, but there are ways of now visiting during the daytime. Today also is the anniversary of elevation of two tremendous sages. One is Maimonides, the Rambam. Rav Moshe son of Maimon is one of the most often cited commentators on the holy writings. He's huge, and so we have his assistance, which is huge, and also Rav Yaakov Abu Chatzera, who through him is a long lineage of Sephardic Kabbalists, as I understand it. It's the 20th day of Tevet of Capricorn, so the energy of the month of Capricorn at Tevet waxes and then it wanes, and so like we're in the last 10 days of this month. Before we begin the study, let's begin by setting our consciousness to, first of all, sending energy of healing to everyone we know who needs healing. If you know somebody, just having them not in mind, thinking about their name, and we want to send them energy of healing. Minna bat Chaimosh Manchana Albert Ben Imelda, Melda bat Carmen, Dana bat Vicky, Yisrael Zev ben Yerachel, Ariel ben Kotova, Meirtzi ben Gittel, Nachman Chai, Rachel ben Chaya, Jeffrey ben Fern, Shion Tova ben Chaya Chana, Levi ben Bluma, Sur Perli Teresa, Sar bet Malka, Yisrael ben Rivka, Melis bat Margie, Chan bat Rivka, Karen bat Sarah, Yehudi Basa Davon, bat Davila, Ganessa bat Rachaldina, Kara bat Susan, Aviv bat Naina, Julia bat Young. Also, we want to send out energy of assistance and comfort and elevation to those souls that we know are in the first 12 months of their elevation. It's the most challenging time for a soul to elevate after it passes from the physical world. So specifically, we want to send out energy to Yehuda ben Abraham, who's a member of our community who passed away this past Sunday. So it's the first 7 days of Shiva still for his soul. And we want to, as you know, for those of us who knew him or just know his parents, and we just want to send them energy of comfort, energy of healing. But specifically to the soul of Yehuda ben Abraham, we want to send him energy of elevation and comfort on his journey. And we'll continue to do that for the next 12 months. Okay, verse 75. For those just joining, we are at verse 75. V'yakam melech chadash al Mitzrayim, b'sifra de Rav Hamnuna Saba, hachli itmar, mai dichtiv v'yakam melech chadash al Mitzrayim. Tachazeh kol amin de alma v'chol malchin de alma la itkafu b'shul panehon ela begin neharu Yisrael Mitzrayim lav havo shaltin al kol alma ad atu Yisrael be'alu taman begaluta kedain itakafu al sha'ar amin de alma Bavel la itakfu al kol amin de alma ela begin Yisrael de leheve di lehev yan begaluton Edom lo ittakafu al kol amin the alma ela beginehon d'Israel. They'll have yan begaluton. The amin ilaim b'shukluta hava b'shar amin umeichin hava mikulu begin Israel ittakafu. Okay, so does anyone know the context for which this verse comes up? The children of Israel are in Egypt. Joseph passes away in the beginning of this portion. We see that Joseph the righteous, Joseph Tzaddik passes, and the children of Israel are in Mitzrayim. They went down there because there was a big famine. Joseph was already there. Jacob came down with all the brothers, and they settled in the land of Goshen. So, anyone have any ideas what now there arose a new king? Anyone have any context they can shed on that? So, in the literal narrative, it just says in the beginning of the portion, and there arose a new king. I think the line actually goes on to say who didn't know Joseph. That's not possible. Everybody knew Joseph. He was the second most powerful person in Egypt. He was a historic figure. How could a new king not know who he was? So what the opportunity here is, of course, is what does this historical story have any business being in our life? Like, what is the relevant? First of all, there aren't any kings. I mean, there's King Charles, but like, I don't know any other kings. So like, what impact, what relevance does this idea of kings have in my life? So there must be some deeper meaning there. And also, what does it mean, arose a new king? And why is the Torah, why are these holy writings like just recording a point in history? Like what relevance does it have? So,
hey, David, obviously we'll read and we'll see it, but I'll add some context because I listened to a few lectures this morning just because the perspective of the initial book that we were in, Genesis, was talking about all the patriarchs. And now we're at the stage where Moses is going to come into importance. And the only piece I wanted to share was that the exiles, so when you said they left, right, we found ourselves in Mitzrayim, in Egypt, and they settled in Goshen, is now the point is this is where we have to take on all the work. So this is where, again, as you like to say, the darkness is our chance, right? So we've been put in the position because we have to do the work.
Yeah, so it's a very important point. I mean, it's obvious when you look at the story. If you take a step back, this is a moment of transition, but with significant consequences and significant challenges. And the same thing happens in our lives. All of a sudden, there's some kind of inflection point. I don't know if it's good, I don't know if it's bad, but it's definitely an inflection point. I want to always look at things from the perspective of Gam Zu L'Tova. Good will come from this also. If everything that's going on in our lives is coming from the Creator, then we want to have a consciousness of connection to the Creator and understanding that everything that's happening is serving me. I may not always see how it's serving me. I certainly may not see it right away, but I want to approach it from that perspective. So, but you can look at the story and you can see all of a sudden a new king arose, and he didn't know Joseph, and so he didn't really care much about the children of Israel. But we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper. Aaron, can you read the relevance? Let's start there.
Yes, relevance. When we were enslaved to our own ego, addicted to our materialistic and primal desires, this spiritual reality is reflected in the physical world.
Okay, so first point is, what's the relevance here? Well, we have an opportunity to make it to discern between body consciousness, ego consciousness, desire to receive for the self. Hey, I really got to take care of myself. I mean, no one's taking care of me. I got to take care of myself. Is this good for me? Body consciousness. And look at when that happens, when I'm just concerned with my own needs and with just physicality, we're separating ourselves from the spiritual realm, from the light of the Creator. And if we separate ourselves, if we create a break consciously from the light of the Creator, we're looking at chaos. That's what we're looking at. We're looking at a world of chaos. Let's continue.
In personal terms, the negative attributes and dark side of our nature become strengthened, empowered, rising to new heights of influence.
Okay, so the more consciousness we have of the desire to receive for the self, of it's all for me, I'm the only one worried about me, the more I do that, I'm strengthening. That's the wolf that I'm feeding. I'm strengthening my self-centered negative desires. And that means, like every encounter I'm going to have, I'm going to run up the flagpole of what's in it for me. I'm not judging that. It's human nature. That's the nature. That's physicality. That's ego. And so, like, that's why most of the world is plugged in that way. It's our nature. But what we see is that the rise in our dark nature is what's referred to as now there rose a new king. At one level, in one sense, it's like I'm letting my ego rise above my soul consciousness. Let's continue.
Globally, the children of Israel will then find themselves in exile under the rule of another power nation.
Aha! So that's what happens here. There are consequences when we are just so wrapped up in physical consciousness, in body consciousness, in ego consciousness. We become subservient. We're in exile. Exile from what? Exile from our soul. We become subservient to physicality. So what this verse means, from this perspective, now there arose a new king, is that we found ourselves in physical exile in the land of Egypt under another superpower, under another nation. Let's continue.
The great light that shines in a person's soul is then transferred to the governing nation, allowing it to achieve greatness in the world.
If we're not doing a sufficient soul connection, this is the children of Israel. Who is that? Well, at the time, it was the children of Israel, literally the children of Jacob. In modern times, our teachers tell us this is anyone who's on this Kabbalistic path. We are the children of Israel. We are those who are responsible for channeling this light into the world. It's like a consciousness. If we're here on this path, we have the consciousness. That's us. So here we are. The problem is, if we allow our body consciousness, our ego consciousness, to overcome our soul consciousness, then we are our light. Where does the light go? It goes to the head of the governing state. That's how a new king arose over Egypt. The children of Israel in Egypt at the time were not connecting to their soul sufficiently. And so all that energy they would ordinarily have for themselves to change the world went to the king of Egypt. Now, the Zohar is going to explain to us exactly what that means. Ron, do you have a question about that?
No, I just had this thought that, we've discussed or we've mentioned before that the leaders of the nation, leaders of the countries are put there because of the people's consciousness.
Yes. They're also supernally selected. Like, we think we vote for who's running the country.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a 1% thing. It's the light that chooses those leaders. And we're also taught that all leaders of nations have a certain amount of prophecy. They get assistance from above in the direction that the Creator wants them to go in. So, again, no victims here. What we're learning is what looks like chaos is not. It's happening based on our ability to connect to our soul. Let's continue.
When, however, we truly transform our desires from selfish receiving into a genuine desire to share and impart to others, we find our own spiritual greatness. We are liberated. The entire nation of Israel rises to great heights, no longer in exile or under the rule of a foreign nation.
Now, as we begin this book of Shemot, Moses comes to the forefront. Eventually, we leave Egypt, and this is us on our journey to reaching great spiritual heights, which happens when we reach Mount Sinai. So you see this arc of the children of Israel. They're enslaved. Enslaved to what? Enslaved to ego. Enslaved to body consciousness. And their light gets transferred to the leaders of Egypt who enslaved them. But again, we have the control. It's like, where is my consciousness? If my consciousness is low, if I desire to receive the self, my light goes to the king. It's no different today. It's no different today. If we're not connected to our soul, our light is going to our leaders. We're not always going to make the best decisions. We're the ones who are supposed to be making soul connections. Hang on one second. Okay, I'm back. So again, it's like it is within our control. Let's continue.
The other nations of the world subsequently cherished the children of Israel, for they are now receiving their spiritual.
I mean, this has happened historically, where nations have welcomed the children of Israel in because they knew it would benefit them financially. But you can look throughout history. I mean, this happens throughout history, and so we're pulling the veil back on what has always appeared to be a very chaotic journey. To see that in a deeper way, we have the control over this. Where are we? Where are we in our consciousness? What are we connecting to?
Hey, David.
Yes.
So question. So there obviously is in the world, there's always been the quote, the Jews control the money system. So reading this line puts a totally different spin, right? Where it says that no, if people really understood the spiritual significance of what you're really trying to say is that we're connected most to the light. And that's why people are following us.
It's close, but it's close, but it's not accurate. You're right. It's not the money system. It's the spiritual system. But of course, because it's about connecting to soul. Like if you're on this path, it's no accident. You're on this path because your soul is pushing you in this direction. Because your soul knows what it came here for. Your soul knows its purpose. We're trying to figure out our soul's purpose. We're trying to align with our soul's purpose. And that purpose is to channel more light into the world, more unconditional love, more connection, end of wars, end of pain and suffering. That's our role. Our soul knows that. That is something we control. It's just good luck, because I'm looking around that I don't see what button to push. I literally don't. It's not a pushing a button. It's not that simple. It's consciousness. It's growing. It's seeing that the light is in everything that goes on, and seeing that and connecting to my soul and my soul's purpose. Let's continue.
Here we elevate the children of Israel, which is any human being who embraces the spiritual wisdom of Torah and Zohar, their ultimate spiritual prominence. The negative forces of darkness dwelling in the upper worlds lose their power.
So that is how we shift the energy from negativity to light. Because when we are in the right place consciously, negative forces have no control. They only have control when we're in a negative place. Go ahead.
Likewise, evil disintegrates here on earth. Evil nations crumble. Corruption ceases, and all humanity recognizes the common spark of divinity that binds all mankind.
And bottom line, that is the purpose. That's the purpose of the Kabbalah Center right there. To remove negativity from the face of the earth. Bila Maval Netzach, the end of death, end of pain and suffering, connecting to eternal life. That is the goal. Okay, let's continue.
Our ego is abolished at the very seed level of its existence. The supernal source of the human ego, the angel called Satan, is crushed and conquered. The nations of the world hold Israel dear to their hearts as peace permeates the planet and famine is banished from the planet.
So that's what we want to be conscious of as we read these verses today, that we have the power to literally defeat Satan, defeat the evil side, the evil inclination, to spread peace all over the world, to remove negativity, to remove corruption. And famine from the planet. That is what we're connecting to here. So I don't know what else we're doing today, but this seems to me to be like singularly the most important thing that we could be doing. Let's continue.
Though we may not be worthy of this miraculous redemption and transformation, we achieve it on the merit of the sages who love and care for us unconditionally.
I mean, you don't know who your soul is. We don't know. We don't know what connection, where we came from. We don't know who our souls really are in this incarnation. We don't have any idea who's helping us out from the upper realm. But again, if you're on this path, you're getting supernal assistance. There's no question about it. Continue, please.
Their extraordinary light is ignited with each letter and word of the Zohar that our eyes touch.
And again, how do we turn this on? With a visual connection, with a consciousness connection. Okay, so we read the Aramaic to 75. Let's I'm making you work very hard today, Aaron. Let's read the English to verse 75.
Okay. Now there arose a new king of Egypt. In the book of Rav Hamuna Saba, it is written thus: what is the meaning of "now there arose a new king over Egypt"?
Okay, so there's a reference to a book of Rav Hamuna Saba. We don't have that book. We do know that Rav Hamuna Saba was a very, very elevated soul. Apparently had a book. Apparently predates the Zohar. But it's not so much about the book, because it's not like you can go to Amazon and get it. It's more about this is, again, we're opening a book. We open the Zohar, and then within the Zohar, we're opening another book. So this is for us opening gates that were previously closed to channel light that those verses connect to. Let's continue.
Come and behold, all the nations of the world and all the kings in the world did not become secure in their dominion, save for the sake of Israel.
So what the Zohar is saying is a very powerful statement. We're unpacking the verse, the title verse, now there arose a new king. And the Zohar is saying that nations become secure in their dominion only because of the children of Israel. So what does that mean? Let's continue.
Egypt did not rule over the whole world, until Israel came and entered into exile there.
Aha! That's, what led to the rise of Egypt as the strongest nation in the world? The children of Israel were there. That was the tipping point, the singular tipping point. Let's continue.
Then they overpowered all the nations of the world.
Okay, so that's a quick short history on Egypt and its ascension to world power. But that's not the only example. Let's continue.
Babylon did not acquire power over all the nations of the world, only so that Israel would be in exile by them.
Okay, so there's another nation, Babylon, which is modern day Iran. What happened? Well, the Babylonians came in and they destroyed the temple, and the Jews were exiled there. The children of Israel were exiled there. When the children of Israel were exiled there, Babylon rose in its ascension as a world power. Let's continue with the third example.
Edom acquired power over all the nations of the world, only so that Israel would be exiled among them.
Okay, so anyone know who Edom is?
Question.
What?
Yeah, this is a good question.
So Edom was a tribe that came from Esau. And it's from the root red. So this is the red nation. So this is the Roman Empire.
I thought that was.
So the Roman Empire destroyed the second temple, and the children of Israel were exiled into their provinces under their control, and so they also ascended to become a world power. Let's continue.
For these nations were once humble among the other nations, and were lower than all of them. And because of Israel, they became strong.
So again, and what's the formula? How does this happen? Well, we become subservient to them. We're not connecting to our soul. They get our light. That's what this is about. And there's so much more to the story because when we leave Egypt and we go through the desert for 40 years and we finally end up in the land of Israel, there's a whole history there with the building of the temple, with a lot of other things. And both temples were destroyed. And why were they destroyed? We're taught because of sinat chinam, because of baseless hatred. Again, the baseless hatred of our fellow children of Israel. So this is why there's so much emphasis that we place on unconditional love. Because baseless hatred is what leads to our demise, weakens us as a nation. Divisiveness weakens us as a nation. Divisiveness weakens the power, the collective power of our our spiritual, of our connection to our soul. We're all connected at a soul level. And divisiveness disconnects us and then leaves us open and vulnerable to the rest of the world and transfers our light that we should be connecting to other powers. Okay, 76, let's continue. Mitzrayim, dichtiv mibet avadim, avadim ikrun mamash, da Mitzrayim b'shifluta dishar amin havo, Bavel dichtiv hen eretz kazdim zeha'am lo haya, Edom dichtiv hinekaton nataticha bagoyim bazu ata ma'od. Now you might be thinking, this is so interesting, the whole Egypt story, but like Passover isn't for another few months. Well, we're marching there now. This is us preparing for the opportunity that Passover provides us with. And it's a tremendous amount of insight into the whole construct of our spiritual journey. Not physical journey, spiritual journey. Yes, Alan?
Are we in Shovavim?
We are in Shovavim. So that's an acronym. Yeah, that's an acronym for the weekly portions leading up to Passover. And this is the first one, which is Shemot, which is Shin, which is the SH of Shovavim. Shovavim, yes, we are. Okay, Aaron, 76.
Egypt was lowlier than all the nations, for it of them from the house of bondage. They were a low. We look at them like we're a powerful nation. Not till we got there. Go ahead. They are called actual slaves because the Egyptians were formerly lowlier than all the nations.
Okay, and what about the Babylonians? Go ahead.
Babylon was lowly, as it is written, "Behold the land of Chaldeans. This people was not."
That's from the prophet Yeshaya. Okay, what about Edom?
Edom was lowly, as it is written, "Behold, I make you small among the nations. You are greatly despised."
So all these nations were at a low point. Not until the children of Israel were located within their control did they rise to become the powerful nations that they were. Okay, so here's a long. I'm not sure that the Zohar actually is going to go into this. But let's take another verse. Let's see. All right, put your seatbelts on. This is long, so there's a lot of light to be revealed here. 77. V'chulu la natlu tukpa ela b'gehenon d'Yisrael d'chad Yisrael b'galuton miyad mittakfe al kol sha'ar amin de'alma. My tama begin Yisrael inun bilchodaihu l'kabel kol amin de'alma kat alu Yisrael b'galutab d'Mitzrayim miyad havakima l'Mitzrayim v'takaf shultanuta dilhon le'ela al kol sha'ar amin. Yakam mel chadash al Mitzrayim. Bekam kema havalon de'itztakav. Bekam hahu memana shultana de Mitzrayim. V'jihiv le tukpa b'shultanuta. Al kol memanan dishar amin daha bekad meta each shultanuta lahu memana dil ela. Ulvatar la'ama dil tata. Lekinkach v'yakam mel chadash al Mitzrayim. Dahu memana dilhon chada haba de'ad yoma hadei la hava le shultana al sha'ar amin hasta itkam l'shalta'a al kol sha'ar amin de'alma u'chodeni kayam tachat shalosh ragza eretz tachat eved ki yimlo. Aaron?
And they all received power only on account of Israel. For when the children of Israel were in exile among them, they immediately became powerful over all the nations in the world. What is the reason? Because Israel alone is comparable to all the nations in the world. When the children of Israel began their exile in Egypt, Egypt immediately experienced an elevation, and their rule was strengthened above all the nations. As it is written, "Now there arose a new king over Egypt." Arose means they rose and became strong.
Okay, and that's the point. That is the aspect of this verse. That what does arose mean? And he got a new job? No. He became strong. He became dominant. Go ahead.
And the angel, who is the minister appointed to the rule of Egypt, was strengthened, and rose.
So it's not so much a reference to the actual Pharaoh, to the actual king. It's more specifically a reference to the minister. What minister? The representative of the United Nations? What minister? No. From a spiritual, Kabbalistic perspective, there are 70 nations in the world. I know there's more than that, but they're just subdivisions, as far as I understand. There's only 70 nations, and each nation has a minister in the upper realm appointed over them. The one nation that doesn't have a minister is us. We go direct. The children of Israel have a direct relationship with the Creator. But all 70 other nations of the world, their relationship with the Creator is through their minister. And so what happens is not so much the human king gets elevated, but the minister over that nation is the one that gets elevated. So again, this is a deeper dive into understanding the dynamics, the power dynamics spiritually of what goes on in the world. As above, so below. These changes take place above. When we're so tied into body consciousness, we're not making our soul connection above. The light's not here. The light is our light. The light that we should be receiving is being transferred over to the minister of the nation where we are. And that's the deeper meaning of now there rose a new king. It was our light, because of our inability to do our work, was transferred over to the minister of the nation where we were. Let's continue.
He was given power and dominion over all who were appointed over the other nations, because dominion is given first to the one who is appointed above, and then to his nation below. Therefore, the verse says, "Now there arose a new king over Egypt." This is the one who was appointed over them. He was new because until that time he had no dominion over the other nations. Then he was raised to rule over all the nations in the world. Then this was fulfilled. For three things the earth is disquieted for a slave when he becomes king, because the Egyptians were slaves.
So that verse from the prophet Mishlei is telling us, what does that verse mean? That is directly explaining what happened to the Egyptians. They were slaves. It was a land of slaves. What were they slave to? Also physicality. I mean, Egypt was known to be super connected to physicality. But they don't rise to power until the children of Israel are there. Okay, let's try one more paragraph. Rabbi Chia Amar, Tilatin Yomin Adla Yete Tukpa La'ama Ba'ara, O Ad La Tete Tibiru La'ama Ba'ara, Machriza Be'ama Hahu Mila, Luzimnin Di'it Misar Hahu Mila Befuma Darab Ye. Ulazimnin Inun B'nei Nashad the Lake Baho Da'ata. Ulazimnin Misar Hahu Mila It Misar Befuma de Ofe Umach Rizeh Be'alma. The Lake Man Diishbach Bahu. Kadaman Zakain It Misar Hahu Mila Li'un Reshin Zakain de Alma. Begin Diodiu Lon Yituvun Lama Rehon. The Chadlavinun Zakain Have Kid Kamran.
Rav Chia said, 30 days before power comes to a nation on earth, or before a crisis comes to a nation on the earth, it is announced in the world.
We live in a world that looks like it's just chaotic and things happen and there's no way to know. And the truth is, what the Zohar is telling us is, as above, so below. If these things are known 30 days before, I mean, really 30 days? I'm not sure it's really the point of the time measurement, but the point is that the upper realm, these things are known in the upper realm. And so when we get intuitive hits about things, this is also us tapping into the upper realm. This linearity, this time aspect of our life here is an illusion. How could they know in advance? Because everything's playing out according to a plan. There is no chaos. It's all per the plan. Let's continue.
Sometimes it is given over to the mouth of a child, and sometimes to people who have no sense.
Okay, so what?
Yeah.
So this is why our teachers tell us, you hear something from a child, it might be a message coming to you. Or somebody who just doesn't seem like they navigate life well. It could be because of this, learning challenges, other, processing challenges. They're just not like everybody else, but they may turn out to be like an amazing musician or an amazing artist. It might be like their right brain that is so powerful, but we're so plugged into left brain and linearity that they get dismissed. They may also be sharing messages that they're receiving from above. Go ahead.
And sometimes it is given over to the birds and they announce in the world and nobody listens to them.
Except Dr. Dolittle, for those of you who remember the old movie. So what does that mean? Like if you listen to, when you walk down the street and you hear a bird chirping, where's that chirp coming from? The bird? That's like saying when I turn on, for those of you who remember what radios were, when I turn on the radio and music is playing, the music isn't in that little box. It's coming from someplace else. And the sounds of that bird are coming from the upper realm. That's what it's plugged into.
Unless it's a crow, right?
A crow's a different story. Yeah, crows are trying to spread Lashon Hara, so you always want to chase them away. Let's continue. But again, the point is that we might dismiss children and people who seem out of step with the rest of the world or what a bird is saying. Don't dismiss any of that. We want to become more attuned to receiving messages from our guides, from messages from the upper realm. Let's continue.
And when people are righteous, it is given over to the leaders, the righteous of the world, so they may notify the people and repent to their master.
This is one of the reasons why we have teachers that we listen to. Why we want to listen to Michael Berg's lecture tomorrow. Why we want to listen to Monica Berg when she's presenting information, and our other teachers, because they're attuned to the messages they're receiving from the upper realm. Let's continue.
And if the people are not righteous, then it is as we said.
What does that mean? It means our light gets transferred over to negative influences. Okay, we're going to wrap up here. Again, I think our biggest takeaway here is looking beyond physicality. We see a world of chaos. Yeah, it presents as chaos. It's not chaos. It's just points of a masterpiece that we don't see. We don't see the masterpiece. We don't see the blueprint. We see little points that seem unconnected and don't really look like they're moving things forward. And then on top of it, information gets blown out of proportion through social media and other algorithms that we get exposed to. And things seem so significant when it's just a point in time of something happening that's part of a much larger picture. So again, gaining perspective on this is super important, because the other thing that the Zohar teaches us, and there's another section here which talks about the coming of the Messiah, we need to rise above the chaos that we're experiencing and keep our consciousness in an elevated place, to know that we are marching towards a better time. We're marching towards Bila Mavla Netzach, when death is forever removed from our life, where we are living in a world where there is no pain and there is no suffering, and where everyone is not worried about themselves, they're worried about everybody else. It is a reality that we achieved at Mount Sinai before the sin of the golden calf, and it is a consciousness that we are slowly marching to, or maybe fast marching to, which our eyes may deceive us about what's really going on. So this is an opportunity for us to don't just rely on what you see physically. Let's connect to our soul. Let's connect to the grander picture of what's going on. Okay, everybody. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for reading, Ron.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.